Phosphorus. Atomic number 15, molecular weight 30.973, group Va, symbol, P. Proved by Hahnemann, thermal, Chile, miasm, tubercular, temperament, sanguine, diathesis, tubercular and hemorrhagic, it is a tubercular remedy. Phosphorus in Greek means carrier of light. Venus. Symptoms can be connected to light. Light means knowledge, perceived through the senses and nervous system. History. Robert Boyle, Irish chemist 1669. Unstable, highly toxic white phosphorus was used to make fireworks and matches. 1845 replaced by non-toxic red form. Manufacture and sale of matches made with white phosphorus often developed, phossy jaw, a gangrenous condition caused by inhaling phosphorus fumes that killed off the bone in the jaw. Pharmacology. Yellow phosphorus is highly poisonous, whether absorbed accidentally in industrial contact or administered with homicidal or suicidal intent. Insecticides, on exposure to air, it gives off white fumes. It is luminous in the dark and is of a disagreeable garlicky odor. It is insoluble in water but dissolves in absolute alcohol at 15 degrees C, ether and fatty oil, kept carefully underwater, in a secure and moderately cool place, protected from light or else there is danger of fire. It exists in 3 different forms: red, non-poisonous; white, poisonous; black, non-reactive. White glows in the dark, but it is quite unstable. Turns from white to yellow to red under the influence of light. Physiological action. In small dose, stimulating effect upon the brain, stomach and genitalia and the growth of bones. Fever. Necrosis of the maxillary and nasal bones. In toxic dose, vomiting and purging. Acute hemorrhage. Fatty degeneration of heart, liver, arteries, stomach. Increase blood alkalinity and diminished urea excretion. Phosphorus in human body. Macro mineral, doesn't seen in free form, always in combination, found as phosphates. Component of DNA, RNA, ATP, phospholipids of all cell membranes, along with thrombin and collagen. ADP, adenosine diphosphate, is needed for platelet activation. Liver converts triglycerides to phospholipids, usable form of fat, part of the triglycerides converted to LDL, VLDL. Lipoprotein synthesis also need ATP. Failure of lipid metabolism or accumulation of unused lipids in the cell. A fatty degeneration of tissues. Myelin sheath is made up of phospholipids, helps to filter out wastes in kidney. Deficiency of phosphorus. Thin, slender elongated bones, lack of energy, weakness, inhibition of platelet activation and hemorrhage. Neurological symptoms like optic nerve atrophy, pseudo-hypertrophic paralysis, failure of lipid metabolism. Fatty degeneration in tissues. Sphere of action. Cavities, head, lungs, heart. Circulation, blood, blood vessels, arteries, mucous membranes, stomach, bowels, lungs, lower nerves, brain, cord, bones, jaw, shin, spine, liver. Constitution. Appearance. Tall, grows too rapidly, slender, lean, thin for her age, narrow-chested, pale. Face. Mostly fair skin, blonde or red hair, beauty conscious, always careful and tops up her makeup. Bright eyes, prominent facial feature, blue ring around the eyes. Facial expression. Foolish, frightened, sick, vacant. Eyelash. Long, silky, vibrant, open, wide eyes. Voice. Strong and sharp, reserved and shy. Incoherent speech. Speech unintelligible, wandering. Dress. Design clothes, well matched, sharp contrast, artistic, wear bright colors. Nail. Brittle, glossy, white spots and red flush. Diagnose photo, nervous, sensitive, restless, delicate person who likes to be magnetized, creative and imaginative, and very much enjoy being the center of attention. They don't really like to be alone and therefore do very well being surrounded by family and close friends. If they are upset by something, they like to be with a great deal of sympathy and attention. Artistically rearrange the furniture when cleaning up her room, and the girls will decorate the table with flowers. 2 types: A. Bubbly, extrovert, expressive, gregarious. B. Reserved, shy, plays sad music. Diffusion is the theme which runs through the phosphorus pathology. Diffusion is the process of spreading outward into the environment, like smoke, color from a tea bag. The same happens to the energy, the awareness, the emotions, and even the blood. It is as if there are no barriers for this physical, emotional, or mental. Physical level: any injury or stress results in hemorrhage as the blood vessels are weak and easily allow the blood to diffuse into surrounding tissues. Emotional plane: emotions freely go out toward others, with little ability of the patient to contain them and protect the self. Form emotional vulnerability. Mental plane: easily forgets himself, even to the degree that awareness can become too diffuse and unfocused. The patient becomes easily spaced out. Throughout life, the phosphorus type person is a warm, friendly extrovert who enjoys friendship and company very much, because he or she is truly sympathetic, freely putting the interest of friends above personal concerns, but also may enjoy solitude. There are no secrets for such person. Whatever is on his mind he shares freely. Warmth and affection diffuse freely towards friends and even strangers. Much of their life revolves around interpersonal relationships, such as good politician, a sales agent. The main feeling of phosphorus is of being unloved and uncared for, to which the patient reacts by being affectionate, friendly and sympathetic in the hope that this love and care will be reciprocated. He must be sensitive to the feelings of others to win their affection, caring for others, being sympathetic to them. He is sensitive to all emotions, anger, fear and grief, and has the unique symptom, hot flushes from excitement. They tend to attract attention towards themselves, either by their appearance, manner of speaking, or the warmth they show. It is difficult to ignore a phosphorus person. If they are not getting enough attention, care and love, this creates an insecurity in phosphorus which makes the person seek more company, more friends. He tries to get the love he misses. Reciprocal love: want to receive and give love. One-sided love is never for foes. Though he may have a lot of friends, yet unable to make close intimate friends, and most of his relationships are at quite a superficial level. Intellectual sphere: we find the increased activity expressed as ideas abundant, clearness of mind, memory, active, industrious, senses acute. On the other hand, we may find indifference, apathy, deficiency of ideas, weakness of memory, indolence and dullness of senses. This represents the collapsed or failed side of the remedy. There is an intense need to get out of his home, the place of his isolation, where he doesn't find any love or care. Clairvoyance in phosphorus is generally expressed as a feeling of tremendous intimacy. They may say, "I knew as soon as I walked into the room, there was vibration between us, though we had never met each other before." There is a desire to be magnetized and the magnetic waves can travel. Interview observations. From the first interview they behave as a friend, shaking his hand warmly, gives symptoms freely, without holding back, believes in what the prescriber tells him and follows directions willingly and with effusive gratitude. There is a predisposition toward anxieties relieved easily by just a few reassuring words. During a daydream, if there is a sudden noise, like a blaring horn, a slamming door, or a burst of thunder, the daydreamer is startled because awareness is pulled suddenly and joltingly back into the immense reality. highly susceptible. Anxiety for the welfare of another, whether friend or stranger, about health, dark, fear of being alone, and fear at twilight, fear of thunderstorms. Causticum and nitric acid are also sympathetic remedies, but there is a kind of selfishness, inimical. Causticum is anxious for others, but Phosphorus feels the anxiety of others. In causticum, if her child goes out and gets a little late, even though the child is enjoying itself, the mother feels worried. Phosphorus feels anxiety of others. When the other person is anxious, Phosphorus feels it. Nitricum acidum is as long as you are his friend, he will be sympathetic towards you. But the moment you offend him, he will want to kill you, so his is not a genuine sympathy. Fear of impending disease, particularly a fear of cancer, rather than heart disease, finally falls into a fear of death, a panic state over the idea that death. Patient develops a need for company, because of the fear that death is imminent. Not a need to talk to people about health in particular, as in arsenicum, rather Phosphorus just feels the need to talk to anybody about anything, in order to relieve the panic. As the states of fear increase, the physical level disappear. There may be no thirst, no craving for salt, and no craving for fish. There is a difficulty in concentration, an inability to think, an inability to understand what is being said by others. The body and the mind become weak. The patient becomes indifferent to company and indifferent to surroundings. The result is a state of senility or imbecility. Comparison. Aconite, intense, sudden anxiety, panic, or fear could be connected to past trauma. Symptoms of this type of panic include dry skin, dry mouth, and fast heartbeat. Argentum nitricum, claustrophobia, hypochondria, fear of heights, or fear of everyday things, accompanied with digestive disturbance, like diarrhea, and sweets craving. Ignatia, anxiety from grief or loss. Depression, very sensitive, mood swings, moving from laughter to tears. Arsenicum album, anxiety due to fear of loneliness, darkness, diseases, or being imperfect with restlessness. People may relieve anxiety through control or criticism of others. Calcarea carbonica, they develop fear of breaking out of any safe routine. Anxiety worsens when plans are changed, and they show difficulty in going with the flow. Gelsemium, agoraphobia, avoid crowds or public speaking, and be vulnerable to fainting. They often also desire solitude and avoid insistent pressure from other people, often timid and shaky. Kali arsenicosum, health-based anxiety. They may also fear death or dying. Hypochondria, excessive grooming, and even fear of heart attacks, thoughts and difficulty sleeping. Lycopodium, people who lack self-confidence. Fear speaking in public and have stage fright, they hide it well. They might cover it up with talking loudly or too frequently. Pulsatilla, need lots of reassurance and support from others to feel better. Childlike anxiety. Stramonium, anxiety that also includes night terrors, nightmares, or dark thoughts while awake. Scared by thoughts of monsters or mysterious figures, their imaginations tend to worsen their anxiety. Physical generals. Hemorrhages, profuse, pouring out freely from nose, anus, urethra, stomach. Diffusion, bleedings are bright red, only platelet activation inhibition, no destruction of RBC, small wounds bleed much. The prick of the needle will be much bright red blood. Purpura hemorrhagic, black and blue spots. Hemorrhage after the extraction of teeth. Blood settles beneath the conjunctiva, or beneath the skin anywhere. Bloody saliva, small bruises take on broad blue spots. Petechia all over the body, blood-streaked discharges of ulcers, etc. Burning, intense heat and burning in palms of hands, chest, lungs and other organs and tissues of the body, in spots along spine, between scapulae. Pains, tearing, drawing pains in the limbs especially at night, exostoses of the skull with tearing pains, sweat, profuse over whole body on slight exertion, smells of sulfur, profuse night sweat, aggravation during sleep. Weakness, weariness from loss of vital fluids, ATP, a great weak empty or gone sensation in different parts of the body, such as the head, chest, stomach, abdomen, paralysis or paralytic weakness such as occurs in most forms of typhoid fever, with sliding down in bed, trembling and jerking of the muscles, patient wants to lie down, exhausted, he is unable to walk, staggers when walking from weakness and from vertigo. Restless, fidgety, moves continually, weakness of the limbs after mental exertion, prolonged physical exertion, being overheated, sunstroke and sexual excesses, paralytic weakness, empty feeling in the pit of the stomach particularly in the forenoon at about 10 to 11 a.m., feels hungry in the dread of night, must get up and eat something or else he faints. Appetite. The patient is very hungry, particularly at night, wakes up hungry and lies awake until he gets something to eat, longing for cold things, ice cream, ice water, cold drinks, refreshing. Cold food seems to relieve until it gets warm in the stomach, when gets warmer vomits it, craves, salt, acid, wines, sour and spicy things. Aversion, sweets, meat, boiled milk, salt fish, beer, puddings, tea, coffee thirst, violent unquenchable thirst for ice-cold drinks. The phosphorus child, lean and delicate, less shy and more capable of expressing himself, suffering from loose stools, anus relaxed and oozing bloody mucus or moisture revealing tubercular diathesis. The diarrhea is ameliorated after eating ice cream or cold food. The child is haunted by many fears especially of the dark, thunder and lightning, night terrors. Sensitive to sudden changes in temperature, the child falls asleep easily when gently rubbed or tickled to laughing. The precipitating cause of their illness in genetic disorders may be man-made disease like vaccination after effects, or birth trauma. Cord around neck etc., gets colds, but these do not affect the throat, they go further down with bronchitis. Eyes. Cataract sensation as if everything were covered with mist or veil, or dust, or something pulled tightly over eyes. Atrophy of optic nerve. Black points seem to float before the eyes. Letters appear red. Partial loss of vision from abuse of tobacco, nux vomica, paresis of extrinsic muscles. Diplopia, due to deviation of the visual axis. Amaurosis, loss of vision in one or both eyes, from sexual excess. Glaucoma. Thrombosis of retinal vessels and degenerative changes in retinal cells where soreness and curved lines are seen in old people. Head. Vertigo of the aged, after rising with faintness, bryonia, heat comes from spine. Neuralgia, parts must be kept warm. Brain fag, with coldness of occiput, itching of scalp, dandruff, falling out of hair in large bunches. Ears. Hearing difficult, especially to human voice. Re-echoing of sounds, causticum, dullness of hearing after typhoid. Nose. Fan-like motion of nostrils, lycopodium, bleeding, epistaxis instead of menses, chronic catarrh, with small hemorrhages, handkerchief is always bloody, oversensitive smell, carbolic acidicum, nux vomica, foul imaginary odors, aurum, mouth, toothache after washing clothes, sulfur, calcarea, persistent bleeding after tooth extraction, tongue dry, smooth, red or white, not thickly coated. 2 white stripes, tearing pain in facial bones, redness in one or both cheeks, swelling and necrosis of lower jaw, amphispina, Heckler larva. Stomach. Hunger soon after eating, sour taste and sour eructations and belching large quantities of wind after every meal, vomiting, water is thrown up as soon as it gets warm in the stomach, cardiac opening seems contracted, too narrow, the food scarcely swallowed, comes up again, bryonia, illumina, pain in stomach, painful to touch, or on walking relieved by cold food, ices, post-operative vomiting, bad effects of eating too much salt. Abdomen, feels cold, caps, a very weak, empty, gone sensation felt in whole abdominal cavity, liver congested, acute hepatitis, fatty degeneration, jaundice, pancreatic disease, large, yellow spots on abdomen, urine, hematuria, especially in acute Bright's disease, cantharis, turbid, brown, with red sediment. Stool, long, narrow, hard, like a dog's, very fetid stools and flatus, difficult to expel, great weakness after stool, desire for stool on lying on, left side, green mucus with grains like sago, painless, copious debilitating diarrhea, bleeding hemorrhoids, discharge of blood from rectum, during stool. Respiratory, hoarseness and aphonia worse evenings, clergyman's sore throat, violent tickling in larynx while speaking, cough from tickling in throat with sweetish taste, worse, cold air, reading, laughing, talking, from going from warm room into cold air, whole body trembles, with cough, nervous cough provoked by strong odors, entrance of a stranger, worse in the presence of strangers, worse lying upon left side, in cold room, sharp stitches in chest, respiration quickened, oppressed, heat and congested, pneumonia, with oppression, worse, lying on left side, sputa rusty, blood-colored, or purulent, tuberculosis in tall, rapidly growing young people. Do not give it too low or too frequently here, it may but hasten the destructive degeneration of tubercular masses, repeated hemoptysis. Female, suppuration of mammae, burning, watery, offensive discharge, stitching pain in mammae with mammary abscess, slight hemorrhage from uterus between periods, amenorrhea, with vicarious menstruation, bryonia, menses too early and scanty not profuse, but last too long, weeks before menses, leucorrhea profuse, smarting, corrosive, instead of menses, nymphomania, uterine polyps, metritis. Male, lack of power, irresistible desire, involuntary emissions, with lascivious dreams, heart, violent palpitation with anxiety, while lying on left side, heart dilated, especially right, pulse rapid, small, and soft. Extremities, ascending sensory and motor paralysis from ends of fingers and toes, stitches in elbow and shoulder joints, burning of feet, weakness and trembling, from every exertion, can scarcely hold anything with his hands, tibia inflamed and becomes necrosed, arms and hands become numb with formication of hands and feet, can lie only on right side. Fever, chilly every evening, cold knees at night, a dynamic with lack of thirst, but unnatural hunger, hectic, with small, quick pulse, viscid night sweats, stupid delirium, profuse perspiration, skin, wounds bleed heavily even small, they heal and break out again, little ulcer outside of large ones, petechiae, ecchymosis, purpura hemorrhagia. Sleep, great drowsiness, especially after meals, sleeplessness in old people, vivid dreams of fire, of hemorrhage, lascivious dreams, goes to sleep late and awakens weak, short naps and frequent wakings, somnambulism, talking in sleep, prefers to sleep on the right side, unable to sleep on the left side, sleep position, knees and face forced into pillow, position during sleep on right side. Pathological generals. Anemia. The mucous membranes are pale, same as is after bleeding or in low forms of disease. Dropsy. Bloating of the hands and feet, especially dropsical conditions after scarlet fever. Edema of lids and about the eyes. Paralysis. Ascending sensory and motor paralysis from ends of fingers and toes. Jerking and twitching of the muscles. Spasms with formication and tearing pain in the limbs. Necrosis. Mainly lower jaw, but may be useful in necrosis of any of the bones. Glandular affections. Enlarge, especially after contusions or suffer from diarrhea, abscesses, fistulous openings, hectic fever. Stiffness. On beginning to move, founded hoarse, especially in the morning. Rheumatic stiffness in all the limbs. Malignant growths. Fatty degeneration liver. Hyperemia of the liver. Cirrhosis of the liver. Acute yellow atrophy of the liver. Hepatitis. The jaundice associated with anemia, with brain disease, with pregnancy or with malignant diseases of the liver. Fatty degeneration pancreas. Stool looks like frog spawn, or, to speak more accurately, like cooked sago. Fatty degeneration kidneys. Amyloid degeneration of the kidneys. Modalities. Aggravation, lying on left or painful side. Slight causes emotions. Talking. Touch. Odors. Light. Hands, in water, open air. Warm ingesta. Sexual excesses. Weather. Sudden changes. Windy, cold, thunderstorms. Morning and evening. Mental fatigue amelioration, eating, sleep. Cold food. Water, to face. Rubbing, magnetic, sitting up. Relationship. Complementary. Arsenicum, allium cepa, lycopodium, silicea. Incompatible. Causticum. Compare. Tuberculinum follows phosphor well and complements its action. Antidote. Antidote to phosphorus poisoning. Potassium permanganatum. Nux vomica. Phosphorus antidotes the nausea and vomiting of chloroform and ether. Dose. 3rd to 30th potency. Should not be given too low or in too continuous doses, especially in tuberculous cases. Phosphorus in high potency, an hour or two before operation prevents surgical shock, avoids peristaltic troubles after surgery. Dr. Roberts. Reduces apprehension before operation in children. Dr. Gibson. Excessive bleeding after dental extraction. Useful for clearing up vision after iridectomy. Dr. C. Burrick. Fear of injection. Dr. Fubister. One of the best antidote to radium, X-ray of atomic radiation. Thank you.